Welcome to the place where the light dares not enter. Here shadows crawl, whispers breathe down your neck, and the darkness watches you even when your eyes are closed. Every story told here is not just a tale, it is a door that creaks open, leading you into nightmares that don't end when you wake. If you hear your name whispered in the silence, if you feel the cold breath on your skin as you listen, don't look around. Don't turn back, because once you've entered, there is no way out. Now, let the story begin. The evil in room 611, I don't believe in ghosts. At least, I didn't. I was a scientist, methodical, logical, grounded in proof and evidence. To me, the world was a machine, every cog explained by physics, every shadow explained by optics, every strange sound nothing more than vibrations in air. Superstition belonged to another era. That's what I told myself the night I first turned the key to room 611. It was late autumn, the year's end pressing against the sky when I moved into the student halls. The building was concrete, gray and charmless, just another block where laughter and drunken footsteps echoed endlessly in the stairwells. My room, they told me, was at the very end of the sixth floor corridor. Room 611. I didn't think twice about it. A room is a room, and I needed a place to sleep and study. But from the very first night, I knew something was wrong. The corridor itself felt different as I walked down it, colder somehow, the buzzing fluorescent lights stuttering with a faint, sickly flicker. The doors were lined neatly along each side, but at the far end, mine stood apart, as though it had been an afterthought, tacked onto the building rather than built with it. I told myself it was my imagination, but my skin prickled as I stepped inside. The air was heavy, stale, as though no one had opened a window in decades. The room was simple, bed against the wall, desk under the window, wardrobe looming tall and narrow in the corner. Everything ordinary. But it didn't feel ordinary. It felt watching. The first night, I lay awake long after midnight. The radiator clicked faintly as it cooled, and I listened to footsteps above me, heavy, pacing, but there was no seventh floor. I knew the building, 6 floors only. Still, I told myself it was pipes, or perhaps another student moving late at night. My logic cradled me like a blanket, and eventually I drifted into uneasy sleep. But the dreams came. I dreamed of the door unlocking itself, the handle turning in silence, and a figure standing at the threshold. I couldn't move, couldn't scream. The figure stepped closer, its face obscured in shadow, its breath rasping as if it had traveled through dust and centuries. My chest clenched, and I woke with a start, my throat dry, my sheets cold with sweat. The door was ajar. I was certain I had locked it. I tried to laugh it off, but unease gnawed at me all through the following day. And that night, the sounds began again. This time, the footsteps were not above me. They were in the room. At first, a single step, a weight pressing into the floorboards. Then another, slow, measured, as though something tested its presence, savoring each second. I snapped on the bedside lamp. The room was empty, but the wardrobe door was open. I hadn't opened it. I stood, my breath tight, and closed it with a firm push. It creaked, the wood dry and swollen with age. I turned, preparing to climb back into bed, and then it rattled. The wardrobe door shook violently, banging against its frame, though no wind moved and no hands touched it. I stumbled back, my pulse hammering in my throat, and then it stopped. Silence. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, my friends noticed how pale I was, how distracted. I laughed it off, told them the room was drafty, that the old pipes kept me awake. But inside, I felt an encroaching dread, the kind that crawls under your ribs and settles there, heavy as stone. Days passed. Each night, the disturbances grew. Objects shifted on their own, my textbook sliding across the desk, my lamp flickering violently, even my bed dragging a fraction away from the wall. Once, I returned from class to find my chair balanced on top of the desk, impossibly precarious, as though mocking me. But worst of all were the visions. I would catch them in glimpses. The mirror on my wardrobe showed more than my reflection. It showed someone behind me. A pale woman, hair clinging damp against her face, her eyes hollow sockets of darkness. When I spun around, there was nothing. But the smell of rot lingered in the air, cloying and sweet. And sometimes in the corner of my eye, I'd see shapes moving, Shadowy figures pressed into the edges of the room, their outlines twitching unnaturally, bending like broken marionettes. I tried to reason it away. Stress, fatigue, the tricks of a tired mind. But I knew, deep down, that logic had no power here. This was something else, something that wanted me to see. One night, as rain hammered the windows, I sat at my desk, forcing myself to study. The hum of the fluorescent light overhead buzzed like a wasp. Then, without warning, the bulb exploded. Glass showered down and the room plunged into darkness, and in the silence that followed, I heard breathing. Not mine. Slow, labored. Right behind me, my body froze. Every hair on my skin stood rigid. Slowly, I turned my head, my eyes straining in the dark, and there, crouched just inches away, was a face. Gray skin stretched taut and lips torn into a grin far too wide. Teeth like splinters of glass. Its eyes, oh God, its eyes, were bottomless pits, swallowing the faint glow from the window. I screamed. The lights in the corridor flickered, footsteps thundered, and my door slammed shut. I don't remember how I got out. The next thing I knew, I was stumbling down the hallway, gasping for breath, students staring as I collapsed against the wall. "Bloody hell, Ken," one of them muttered, wide-eyed. "You look like you've seen a ghost." I wanted to laugh, but no sound came, and I wasn't the only one. Over the weeks, I heard the whispers. Other students spoke of room 6111 in hushed tones. One had woken to find scratches down their arms, carved in patterns they didn't understand. Another swore they'd seen a woman standing in the window while the room was locked and empty. A third left after a single night, refusing to ever speak of what they'd seen. It wasn't just me. Room 611 was wrong. The building's caretaker, when pressed, would only mutter that some places carried bad blood, that the land remembers. He would say no more, but I knew what I felt. And sometimes, late at night, when I lie awake even now, years later, I can still hear it. The slow drag of footsteps across the floor, the rattle of the wardrobe door, the breathing in the dark. Room 611 has never left me. It waits. And if you ever find yourself at the end of a long, flickering corridor with a door that feels just slightly out of place, pray you don't turn the key, because once room 611 lets you in, it never lets you out.